المستضعفين ويذل المستكبرين ويهلك الملوك ويستخلف آخرين. الحمد لله قاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين.
وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلفاء الهادي المهدي. حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم صل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك استخلفه في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله. مكن له دينه الذي التزيته له أبدله من بعد خوفي أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وأعزز به وانصره وانتصر به وانصره نصرا عزيزا وافتح له فتحا يسيرا واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملناه وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم المن به شعثنا واشرب به صدعنا وارتق به فتقنا وكسر به قلتنا وأعزز به ذلتنا وأغن به عائلنا واقض به عن مغرمنا واجبر به فقرنا وسد به خلتنا ويسر به عسرنا وبيض به وجوهنا وفك به أسرنا وأنجح به طلبتنا وأنجز به مواعيدنا واستجب به دعوتنا وأعطنا به سؤلنا وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا وأعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع الموتين. اشف به صدورنا واذهب به غيظ قلوبنا واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إلى الحق آمين اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله وغيبة ولينا وكثرة عدونا وقلة عددنا وشدة الفتن بنا وتظاهر الزمان علينا فصل على محمد وآله وعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجل وبزر تكشف ونسر تعز وسلطان حق تظهر ورحمة منك تجللنا وعافية منك تلبسناها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد شكر بدر شكر بدر
صلوات على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our fastings and prayers, inshallah. First of all, I wanted to thank brother Said Ali Danish Hosseini, Haj Karim Bassam and Haj Muallim Hamkar for beautiful recitation of Dua Iftitah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him ajr and thawab, inshallah. With that being said, our month of Ramadan programs will continue through April 20th, inshallah, every night about an hour before iftar with recitation of Quran, followed by Maghrib and Isha prayers, and dinner or iftar will be served here at Masjid. Please join us. Please help us to keep our masjid clean as much as possible, whether it's inside, outside, in the parking lot, or in the bathrooms. If you have small kids, please accompany them, follow them in their bathroom if they need to use the bathroom, and make sure that you clean after themselves. Nobody is getting paid here for all types of cleaning work or anything, so please help all our volunteers, which they're doing a great job keeping this place clean already. So if everybody pitches in a little, it will be a big help for everyone. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and listen to Ajaga Mudarris's lecture or speech tonight. The main topic of the month of Ramadan is rules of lives, which Ajaga Mudarris started at the rule of moderation. Was it moderation? Moderation. Rule of moderation is going to continue tonight again, inshallah, around the same topic. میریم و از محضر حجت الاسلام و المسلمین آقای مدرس استفاده میکنیم. سرسلامتی خودتان و آقای مدرس که زیاد زحمت هم میکشن صلوات محمدی پسند ختم بفرمایید عزیزان. اللهم صل علی محمد و آل محمد.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the honor of the Holy Prophet and his family, Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, especially Imam of our time, recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: ولا تجعل يدك مغلولة إلى عنقك ولا تبسطها كل البسط فتقعد ملوما محسورا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. We've been discussing the importance of iqtisad, balance and moderation in a life of a believer. One thing that is clear in the teachings of the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet and in the teachings of Ahlul Bayt is the way to plan our lives has to be according to effective and efficient balance that caters and is necessary for different needs that we have. And last night I referred to some of the verses of the Quran which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns people about falling into extremes. Either they become excessive in their actions and behaviors or they become negligent. Both is a problem. Before we go there, I want to be very clear that lack of balance is one of the major reasons for feeling unfulfilled. When we are living an imbalanced life, we feel something is missing in our life. We feel that we don't have what we need to have. And unfortunately, the more we do the same thing over and over, is not going to solve the issue because we are not paying attention to the problem, and the solution we are offering is for a different problem. So we have that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam in the tradition ask Imam Ali alayhi salam, can you describe my grandfather's, Rasulullah's life in his house? أخبرني عن مدخله. This is Imam Hussein asking his father about his grandfather. Tell me how he was in his life. And Imam Ali alayhi salam beautifully described Prophet's life in his house when he was home. Said Rasulullah and the Messenger of God, he divided his time in his house ثلاثة أجزاء, to 3 portions, 3 segments. Juz'un lillah, one part of the time in the house was for Allah. That in the house is not just a place of rest, it is a place of remembrance of Allah as well. It's interesting that when we talk about prayers, mustahab prayers, is actually recommended to do mustahab prayers at home. That nawafil and nafila prayers, the best place to be performed is not in the masjid, is not in congregation. And we have traditions that Prophet was doing mustahab prayers and he noticed some people staying behind him, doing basically jama'ah. And Prophet told them that this is a mustahab prayer. And from the next night, he did not show up for mustahab prayer in order to avoid and refuse and basically stop people from doing something that is not mandatory, something that is not required. Prophet did it at home. And again, this is agreed by Ahlul Sunnah as well, that nawafil and nafila is mustahab to be done at home. A lot of it. So Prophet, part of the day that he was home and part of his time at home, juz'un lillah. It was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Imam continued, second part, juz'un li ahli. And part of his time at home was for his family. That is, helping them, taking care of what they need, even if it's children, playing with them, whatever that may be. A time for family. And then the third, juz'un li nafsih. The third part was is a time for himself, to take care of himself. You know, that could be watching after his health, watching after his hygiene. We knew about Prophet that he would comb his hair and he would not leave the house unless he looked at a mirror. It was a sunnah of the Prophet. So it was that they said, you know, we just look at the inside and outside doesn't matter. No, he would look and watch after inside his character as well as his appearance as well. So we are looking for this kind of an example, someone who have this understanding that I should have a time for Allah, I should have time for my family, and I should have a time for myself. I've seen people who have time for Allah, but they don't have time for themselves. They don't watch after their health. They don't pay attention to their bodies, literally warning them. Same as when it comes to people who have time for family, and they watch after themselves, but there's no time for Allah. There's no time for prayers. Everything is about, I am the one who's taking care of me. I don't need any other protection. All I have to do is watch my weight and watch my diet and spend time with my family. And they forget the one who designed everything, the one who's ultimately the relationship with him matters. So this balance should be looked after. But there are different aspects of our lives that we should pay attention to. Last night, I specifically emphasized on having moderation in our financial life. Knowing that because we have a higher income, it doesn't justify overspending. That we should be smart with our money, and we should teach that to our children. There is unfortunately an issue I see, especially about some cultures. And that is that when a father or a mother who did not have a good childhood for whatever reason, maybe they grew up in poverty themselves, maybe they didn't have access to, let's say, tools that they needed, or maybe even entertainment or comfort. So an issue is that once these parents, they get to wealth themselves, they end up spoiling their children. And I've heard it so many times. I don't want my children to live through what I lived through. I don't want them to suffer the way I suffered. And this is a problem. Because this kind of mentality, we end up raising children who become irresponsible, who expect somebody else to pick up after them, to pick up their slack, and we are not preparing them for real life. So the balance is, even if we are wealthy, we understand that we should know how to spend money ourselves as adults, and then teach our children how to spend as well in their financial life, giving them that understanding. And I know it's difficult, but nothing valuable comes easy, and this is no exception. So that was one we covered last night. Moderation and balance when it comes to our iqtisad, economics of our lives, financial life. We must also have the second part of our life that we should have balance, is in balance and moderation in aqeedah, in our belief. Recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. What I mean by balance and moderation in aqeedah, what we notice from the beginning of the Prophet's message, that even is clear in the Quran, is that there are those people who went ahead of Prophet and those who were too far behind of the Prophet. Both is extreme in aqeedah. Belief is that we should follow Allah and we should follow the Prophet of God. Following means that we look at the Prophet, like in Jama'at, you see the Imam, they go to ruku, and you go to ruku. If you intentionally go faster than the Imam, what happened? Your Jama'at is batil. You're not in congregation anymore. And if somebody is too delayed as well, that Imam is in the qunut and you are still in the first rak'at, again, your Jama'at is invalid. In belief is the same concept, that we cannot go and venture ahead of Prophet. لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله. Allah clearly said as a command, you cannot go ahead of Prophet. If Prophet said this prayer is mustahab, you can say yes. If Prophet said this prayer can be done in jama'at and congregation, you say yes. If he says no, it's no. It doesn't matter, it feels good. You know, the way you connect with God, it doesn't matter. If Prophet did not make it, is not from his teaching, is not from his sunnah, is not acceptable. We cannot say because, oh, it looks good, it feels good. What's an issue? You know, it's doing more good. What's the problem? The problem is then we are on a slippery slope argument. There's so many other things that what's the issue? This is also good. That is also good. I like to do, soap prayers 2 rakat, right? We have an example that in the time of Yazid, Walid ibn Hisham ibn Abdul Malik. There's the Walid and Hisham, all of them from the Umayyads. That he was leading Jama'ah and he was drunk. And he ended up, instead of doing 2 rakat, he did 4. And when they told him, what are you doing? You missed the number. He said, I did more. What are you complaining about? I did more than what I was supposed to do. That is a very dangerous, slippery slope. And there's no context of the teaching that everybody can mess with it. Everybody can add, remove. And then we come to a point that the focus, if it was on that, Allah would have made the focus on it. There's no reason for us to add it. So, in Aqeedah, we have to follow the Prophet. We have to follow Allah. We cannot go ahead of him. For example, one of the extreme is that when it comes to our free will, there's 2 extreme. One is that the opinion of Ash'arites. They were a theological, there still exists, is a theological opinion, an approach, which says that everything is by Allah. We have no free will. It's like, imagine a clockmaker who made a clock that is working. Allah made us and that's it. We are just playing out whatever Allah made us do. And then on the other hand, we have those who are Mu'tazila, another theological group, said, we have absolutely free will. Everything is in our control. Allah created us and kind of left it to our own. And then it comes Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam saying, La jabra wa la tafweed, bal amrun bayn al-amrayn. We don't believe in absolute predestination, that everything was already planned out for you. And we don't believe in absolute free will. Bal amrun bayn al-amrayn. But this is somewhere in the middle. The balance is somewhere in the middle. There are matters that we are predestined. What gender we were born into. What family, what race, what ethnicity. These are not things that we chose. So in that, there's jabr. Our mortality, death, kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut, is jabr. We cannot change it. But on the other hand, when it comes to choosing right from wrong, how to live our lifestyle, to believe or not to believe, is up to us. We have free will. Inna hadaynahu sabil, imma shakiran wa imma kafura. When it comes to guidance and misguidance, Allah said, we show you the path. You're either grateful or you're ungrateful. You take it or leave it. So the balance in the Aqeedah. Another example of balance in Aqeedah is Imam Ali alayhi salam said. He said when it comes to Imam Ali alayhi salam, people are rajulan. There are 2 types of people. There is sadiqun ghal or muhibbun ghal wa aduwun mubghid. We have 2 extremes when it comes to Imam Ali alayhi salam that they fall out of balance. We have those who exaggerate, those who love Imam Ali alayhi salam, but they do ghuluw. Exaggerating his status to make him equal to Prophet or higher than Prophet or higher than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, higher than Prophet and equal to Allah, God forbid. That's ghuluw. And then we have mubghidun عدو مبغض. We have enemies who try to diminish his qualities. It's not a big deal. He was 11 years when he became a Muslim. Who cares that if he was the first Muslim? That's also an injustice. Both is imbalanced. The one who diminishes character and try to say he was a human being like others, and the one who exaggerates his status, that's also falling out of balance. That's why we have a companion by the name of Haritha Hamdani came to Imam Ali alayhi salam, said, Ya Ali, people in regard of you, there are three types. There's some who say things about you which make you someone, alayadhu billah, God forbid, that's what they say, that he's equal to God. And the second group are the one that they say you're kafir. They say you have no faith, alayadhu billah, that you're a disbeliever. And then you have the third group, which they are your follower and recognize your merits, your character and qualities, and they are following you based on your teachings. And Imam alayhi salam said that is the third path is the right path. Because you are the one that you're not venturing ahead and you're not too far behind. Because the one who exaggerate in the status of Ahlul Bayt, we believe that their faith is compromised. The one who, God forbid, curses Imam Ali alayhi salam, the one who dishonors Imam Ali alayhi salam, also compromised their faith. La, as Imam Ali alayhi salam said, Prophet said about him, right? La yubghidhuka illa munafiq. Ya Ali, no one truly will despise you or hate you except a hypocrite. That your life is the sign of Iman. So in both is the imbalance. The extreme friend and extreme enemy. And the haqq and the truth is in the balance in Aqidah. And there more to be said about this balance. But we have to be aware of this danger. Then we have moderation in ibadah, moderation in worship. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam was busy doing tawaf. He was a young man. This is before his imamat. This is the time that his father, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, is still alive. So Imam alayhi salam says that as I was doing tawaf, I finished one round and I started the other and I started the other to a point that I start sweating. I start getting tired. And my father, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam, came to me and he said, Ya bunayya, my dear son, do not exhaust yourself to this point that you did multiple, that now you're sweating and you're exhausting yourself. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yaqbalul yasir. Allah will become even pleased with the little that you do. Again, this is to a point that someone overdo it. That sometimes in ibadah, we can go to a point that can affect other aspects of our lives. And we should recognize it. The other example we have in the tradition that somebody came to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam and said, you know, I want to spend my time praying from now on. I worked all my life and I think this is a time to retire. I have a shop, I'm going to close it, and I'm going to start going to the masjid and just be at the masjid from now on. And Imam al-Sadiq told him, why are you doing this? He said, because I feel that I'm too attached to this dunya. I'm too attached to the materialistic gain. And this taking me away from Allah. So Imam al-Sadiq told him, tell me, why you're doing your business? Why it is the reason you have your shop? And he said, you know, the reason I have my shop is number one, to take care of my family. To make sure that they're not going to depend on others. That they're not going to be reliant on other people. Secondly is, I want to make money to help people. Those in need, if somebody asks me for a donation, I'll be able to actually give them donation. And then lastly is, I have the money, then I can do Hajj, I can go for a pilgrimage. So these are the reason I can buy gift for my family, for my relatives, I can visit them. Imam alayhi salam said, if that is the reason you're doing business, you're doing act of worship. This is ibadah. because this is what is leading you toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are all the ways that you serve Allah. I forbid you from closing your shop. That you become a member of a community that now you beg for help, that you ask for help. So you look for handout for support. This is the balance in ibadah. Of course, the balance that some people do excessive in the other side, that is Ramadan, we were at the business and everything, and now we cannot even spend 30 minutes for Quran. We cannot spend 1 hour for Quran. That is not excessive. It is Ramadan, is once a year, and every day we have a short amount of time. It's not like that there's no guarantee that we will be, next Ramadan, we will be alive. Allah knows. So being able to have the balance that yes, we do business, we do work, but I would say the issue is that sometimes the worship, it doesn't get even the small portion that it deserves to get. Tomorrow is the Thursday night, as you know, is a very special night. Thursday night for believers is a night of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a night of mercy, is a night to remember those who passed away, is a night to seek forgiveness, to be ready for Friday, which is a Eid, right? Is a celebration. But tomorrow night is that night. So try to show up early, recite a bit of Quran, spend some time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather than, okay, the entire day all I did was focusing on money or focusing on my livelihood. I can invest, I can spend some part of the time, some part of the day in remembrance of Allah and in the connection with the book of Allah, Holy Quran. So inshallah, don't miss that. Try to show up early. Again, if you're home, you get sleepy and there's so many distractions, masjid it is. This is the place. It's kind of you are pushing yourselves that, okay, I'm going to sit. And because Sheikh Mudaris is looking at me, I cannot just be on my phone. So that kind of pushed me to be more focused. So if that helps you, come to the masjid. If you can do it at home, alhamdulillah, you have that willpower, that iron willpower that you can focus and do it, alhamdulillah. But make sure the balance has to be there. The balance of nutrition for the body, and also we need the nutrition for the soul, which is one of the greatest sources of nutrition for our soul, is ibadah and worship, especially the word of Allah, Quran. May Allah give us the tawfiq to be among the people who are muqtasid, people who are balanced, people who are moderate in every aspect of our lives, in our belief, in our worship, in our financial life, that ultimately we stay away from ifrat and tafrit. We stay away from going to extremes. As we see Khawarij, right? Khawarij, they fell into extremes. They were the one that if somebody committed one sin, they called them kafir. And we have that disease till this day. Oh, you prostrate on a turban, you're a mushrik, you're a kafir. That's it. In their eyes, they justify one. In their mind, there's one way or highway, basically. And then we have the other extreme, which are the people who, it's okay, you can do whatever you want to do. It's okay. Your heart matters, right? As long as your heart is good, that's all it counts. When in reality, our a'mal matters, our action matters, but it's between us and Allah to put our effort to cleanse ourselves, and ultimately through the devotion and remembrance of Allah, find that moment of, I would say, closeness, taqarrub to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshaAllah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma aghfir lana wa liwalidayna wa liwaliday walidayna wa liman lahu haqqun alayna wa li jami'il mu'minina wal mu'minat, for the soul of all marhumin, for the shifa and healing of all those who are sick and mareed, especially those who requested dua. Please recite Surah Fatiha with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. وعجل اللهم في فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا نبي الله، يا خير خلق الله، يا خاتم النبيين، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين ويا إمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليكم أيها الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة أجمعين. السلام على علي بن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام على محمد بن علي الباقر. السلام على جعفر بن محمد الصادق. السلام على موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام على علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام على محمد بن علي التقي الجواد. السلام على علي بن محمد الهادي النقي. السلام على حسن بن علي العسكري. السلام عليك يا صاحب الزمان يا خليفة الرحمن يا إمام الإنس والجان عجل الله تعالى فرجك. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. صدق الله العلي العظيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.
المتكبر الخالق البارئ المصور الغفار القهار الوهاب الرزاق الفتاح العليم القابض الباسط الخافض الرافع المعز المذل السميع البصير الحكم العدل اللطيف الخبير الحليم العظيم الغفور الشكور العلي الكبير الحفيظ المقيم الحسيب الجليل الكريم الرقيب المجيب الواسع الحكيم الودود المجيد الباعث الشهيد الحق الوكيل القوي المتين الولي الحميد المحسن المبدئ المعيد المحيي المميت الحي القيوم الواجد الماجد الواحد الصمد القادر المقتدر المقدم المؤخر الأول الآخر